Thank you and welcome to the January 26, 2022 City of Mesa Planning and Zoning Board hearing. We'll begin by taking a roll call of our board members. Board Member Boyle.
Present.
Board Member Allen.
Here.
Board Member Crockett.
Here.
Board Member Ayers.
Here.
Board Member Peterson.
Here.
Vice Chair Villanueva Saucedo.
Here.
And Chair Sarkisian is here. As part of today's agenda, we have a consent agenda, and it will be read into the record as enacted on in one motion. The items will not be discussed individually. However, if anyone wishes to speak on a specific item, please complete a comment card that is located in the back of the room, blue comment card. You also may elect to have someone speak on your behalf. We received a couple of them. Have there been anyone else has not handed them in? So we will be pulling items 4B and 4C from the agenda. And we will also be adding items 6A and 6B to the consent agenda. 6A is ZON 21-00878 and ZON 21-00731. Those are both being continued to February 9th. So we'll add those. And Board Member Ayers will read the consent agenda, and it is his birthday. So happy birthday.
Thanks for letting everybody know.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
For EGs later.
Yeah, for EGs later. All right, so consent agenda includes the following items. PZ 22014, this is case 0121-006-00061 in District 6.
Don't forget the meeting minutes.
Oh, thank you. In District 6, within the 3400 to 3600 blocks of South Ellsworth Road, within the 9200 block of East Elliott Road, and within the 9200 block of East Peterson Avenue. It's located north of Elliott Road and east of Ellsworth Road. This is for site plan review, and this is for the request for allow for development of a commercial center. I'm going to go back one and take a step back.
Read the staff recommendation.
Yes. Oh, staff recommendation is approval with conditions. Thank you.
And new steps.
Oh, and and yes, this has approval with conditions and stipulations discussed in the study session today. Thank you. Is that it? I did skip the meeting minutes from our January 12th, 2022 study session as well. Thank you.
And regular meeting.
And regular meeting. You think I've never done this
He
before?
just wants to get out for his party.
Yeah, happy birthday, Ben.
Yeah, exactly. All right, next, 3B, ZON 21-01069 in District 6 within the 6200 block of South Ellsworth Road, located north of Pecos Road on the west side of Ellsworth Road. This is for site plan review, and this request will allow for a new hangar, and this is staff recommendations approval with conditions. This also has approval with the conditions and the stipulations discussed in the study session, in today's study session. 4A, ZO1 21-01064 in District 6 within the 6900 to 7300 blocks of South Crisman Road alignment, located south of Pecos Road on the east side of Crisman Road alignment. This is for site plan review with special use permit and request for allow industrial development, and staff recommendation is approval with conditions. Item 4D, ZON 21-01090 in District 4 within the 1000 block of South Country Club Drive on the west side, located north of Southern Avenue on the west side of Country Club Drive. This is for a site plan modification. A request will allow for a restaurant and a drive-through, and staff recommendation is approval with conditions. Item 4E, ZO1 21-01212 in District 1 within the 3700 to 3800 blocks of North Val Vista Drive, located north of 202 Red Mountain Freeway on the east side of Val Vista Drive. This is a rezone from general industrial and agricultural to single residence 7 with a planned area development overlay. And this is a staff recommendation was to continue to the February 23rd, 2022. Did I skip a page? No, I didn't. Okay. Item 5A, PZ 22021. This is the Elliott and Ellsworth Commercial Center. This is a preliminary plat review. In District 6, within the 3400 to 3600 block of South Ellsworth Road, within the 9200 block of East Elliott Road, and within the 9200 block of East Peterson Avenue, located north of Elliott and east of Ellsworth Road. This is for site plan review, and this is a companion case for ZO1 21-00061 associated with item 3A, and the staff recommendation is approval with conditions. 5B, Valleywise Community Health Center in District 4 within the 900 block of East Main Street and within the 0 to 100 block of East Fraser East Drive East, located west of Stapley Drive on the north side of Main Street. This is a preliminary plat associated with, the preliminary plat, and the staff recommendation is approval with conditions. And then lastly, 6A, Z0121-00878 in District 5 within the 2800 and 3100 blocks of North Recker Road and within the 5900 block of East Longbow Parkway. It's located north of McDowell Road on the west side of Recker Road. This is a minor general plan amendment with employment to mixed-use activity district. This is being continued to the February 9th meeting. And 6B, Z0121-00731, District 5, within the 2800 and 3100 blocks of North Recker Road and within 5900 block of East Longbow Parkway, located north of McDowell Road on the west side of Recker Road. Modification to PAD overlay, rezone from light industrial to limited commercial, council use permit, and a site plan review. This is also being continued to the February 9th, 2022. And this is the consent agenda for today.
All right, thank you. Do I have a motion?
Chair.
Or a second?
We have one minor clarification that we would ask Board Member Ayers to make on item 5A to clarify that that's a preliminary plat and not a site plan.
Okay. I'll read that one again.
If you could, that would be
Sure.
great.
So 5A, this is Elliott and Ellsworth Commercial Center, District 6, within the 3400 to 3600 blocks of South Ellsworth Road, within the 9200 block of East Elliott Road, within the 9200 block of East Peterson Avenue, located north of Elliott Road and east of Ellsworth Road. Site plan, or this is a preliminary plat. Thank you. It says site plan.
I know. All right,
So-
do I have a,
Here you go.
do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. All those in favor, please vote. Board Member Allen?
Yes.
Board Member Peterson?
Yes.
Board Member Crockett?
I vote aye.
All right. And the consent agenda passes 7-0. All right, going back on our agenda, we'll read the first item is 4B, ZUN 21-00797, District 1, within the 3500, 3800 blocks of East Thomas Road, within the 3300, 3600 blocks of North Val Vista Drive, and within the 3300 to 3600 blocks of North Val Vista Drive, located south of Thomas Road on the east and west sides of Val Vista Drive. Rezone 8.95 acres from single residence 43, RS 43 to multiple residence 2 with a planned area development overlay, RM2 PAD. Rezone 13.8 acres from agricultural to multiple residence 2 with a planned area development overlay, RM2 PAD. Rezone 20.12 acres from agricultural AG and single residence, R43, RS 43 to multiple residence 2 with a planned area development overlay, RM2 PAD. And rezone 3.89 acres from single residence 43, RS 43 to mixed use with a planned area development overlay, MX PAD. And single residence 6 with a planned area development overlay, RS6 PAD. This request will allow for mixed use development. And Cassidy, we actually have a couple, we don't have anyone who wishes to speak, but they want their comments read. Is there anybody here that wishes to speak on this case? Okay. Board members, do you want to hear the staff's presentation again? Or are we all good?
That's not necessary for me.
We're good? Okay. You're all clear. So we're going to have Vice Chair Villanueva Sacedo read the comments.
The Lundstroms, 3306 East Russell Street, are in support, did not want to have their comment read. Ethan Paulson, 3149 North Loma Vista, support, did not wish to have their comment read. Stacy Reed, 2655 East Odessa Street, in support, it is unacceptable not to have adequate emergency services. This needs to be addressed. For my neighbor to wait 15 minutes in an emergency situation is scary and easily could lead to loss of life that could be prevented. Renee Milton, no address provided, support. I'm a parent in Lehigh Crossing, and I'm shocked that we have 15 minutes and wait 15 minutes until a fire department makes it to our neighborhood for an emergency. In the last 2 years, we've experienced 2 fires in our neighborhood. It's unacceptable that we don't have proper response time because of proximity to our neighborhood. I would love to see the city step up and help our community receive the same resources as other neighborhoods. Randy Luvano, 2764 East Palm Street. In support, it is completely unacceptable to have an emergency response time of 15 minutes or longer. A child would not survive a choking or drowning in that time, nor would an adult survive a medical emergency such as heart attack or stroke. There have been 3 homes that were total losses in the area as well due to an extended emergency response time. Courtney Altieri, 2950 East Presidio Street, in support. I am in support of the Blandford community, however, feel that it is imperative to provide a fire station to accommodate the increase in homes. Please include this in the zoning. Shannon Larson, no address provided, is in opposition. I support additional residential homes as long as the fire department is included with the plan. Jennifer Wilson, 2706 East Preston Street. In opposition, the Lehigh area continued to be built up without regard to city services. A fire station at McDowell and 32nd Street was promised long ago and has no identified construction date. We continue to build homes without adding schools, emergency services, et cetera. It's unacceptable and irresponsible. The city and Blandford, other builders need to commit to providing these services timely before we add to the population of this community. Blandford is currently building on Lehigh and Newport homes on Thomas, and now the request is for more. At some point, we need something other than housing. Christopher Irvin, 3348 North Los Alamos, in opposition. Many are for this project, but an additional fire station needs to be built. There are worries about additional infrastructure that needs to be built to handle the added population. Almost 90-home multiplex community is being built off of North Thomas between North Loma Vista and North 34th Street, and another development being currently under construction off of East Lehigh Road, just north of East Portia Street, the Grove at Lehigh, which is another 108 parcels. In addition, the 262 units that are in planning to be developed off of Loop 202, the residences at Gilbert and McDowell, more fire stations are needed. Matthew Pearson, 2701 East Odessa Street, is in support. I'm in favor of the proposal. I just am demanding that the City of Mesa and the builder commit to building our fire station on 32nd Street in McDowell that has been promised for decades. We have had over 1,300 homes recently built in the area over the last 5 to 8 years and no fire station. The fees that are charged to the builders are to help build the infrastructure for public services such as the fire station. We live in Lehigh Crossing and have had to call the police fire services and have had a response time of up to 15 minutes for a fire emergency, which is absolutely unacceptable. Joshua Adams at 2702 North Roca is in support. I support the planned homes on Thomas and Val Vista, but I believe a long-promised fire station located at McDowell near 32nd Street should be part of this plan.
Thank you very much.
That concludes the comments.
All right. Can I just have staff respond on the record as to what the response was regarding the fire station earlier in the study session? Leslie? Or Cassidy? I was reading. Oh, it's just if you could respond regarding the fire station comments, what staff was.
Sure. Staff has provided the comments regarding the fire station to the fire department and also provided the information to the city council members, the district council members' assistant, so that they're aware of what the concerns are from the neighbors. So that information has been forwarded.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on this item? All right. I'll bring it back for a motion.
Hello? Hello?
Is this board member?
Hello? Can I make a public comment?
Sure. Can you please state your name and address for the record?
It was Matthew Pearson, 2701 East Odessa. Or that's the street, Mesa, Arizona.
Yeah, she read your record. She read your name into the record. Did you want to speak?
I did. I just want to reiterate that in this area, over 1,300 homes have been built in the last 5 to 8 years. And the fact that, each property, when they're being built, they pay taxes and fees and infrastructure fees. And we have not gotten any kind of public service in the area. We have that fire station that was been promised for over 2 decades at 32nd Street in McDowell. And I think if you're going to approve this project, which I'm in favor of, I think the city of Mesa and Blandford need to commit to build that fire station. And that needs to be part of the approval process, that if we're going to give them more homes in the area, they're going to pony up money, and the city is going to finally pony up the money that's been taxed and collected for the revenue to build that fire station. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Are there any questions or comments from the board? There is I'll entertain a motion.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yep.
I'd like to make, excuse me, I'd like to make a motion that we approve ZON 2100797, District 1, within the 3,500 to 3,800 blocks of East Thomas Road on the south side, within the 3,300 to 3,600 blocks of North Val Vista Drive on the east side, and within the 3,300 to 3,600 blocks of North Val Vista Drive on the west side, located south of Thomas on the east and west sides of Val Vista Drives. Rezone 8.95 acres from single-family residence 43, RS 43, to multiple residence 2 with a planned area overlay, RM2 PAD. Rezone 13.8 acres from agricultural AG to multiple residence, I picked a long one, multiple residence 2 with a planned area development overlay, RM2 PAD. Rezone 20.12 acres from agricultural AG and single residence 43 to RS 43 to multiple residence 2 with a planned area development overlay, RM2 PAD. And rezone 3.89 acres from single residence R43, RS 43 to mixed use with a planned area development overlay, MX PAD. And single residence 6 with a planned area development overlay, RS6 PAD. This request will allow for a mixed-use development, and staff recommendation is approval with conditions.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second?
All right. All those in favor, please, please vote. And we'll do voice. Board Member Allen?
Yes.
Board Member Peterson?
Yes.
Board Member Crockett?
Vote aye.
All right, and so the consent agenda passes 7-0. 4B. Sorry, 4B, I didn't pass this. I'm just back on the consent agenda. Okay, the next item, ZON 21-00940 in District 2, within the 3100 block of East Southern Avenue and the 1200 block of South 32nd Street, located east of Lindsay Road on the south side of Southern Avenue, rezoned from single residence 9, RS9 to multiple residence 3 with a planned area development overlay, RM3 PAD, and site plan review. This request will allow for a multiple residence development.
I will be abstaining from any conversation with this, as it is a project done through my office.
Okay, thank you. All right, Leslie?
Whoops. What did I do? I'm not sure what I did here. Please. What did I click wrong? Oh, it's showing right. It's good. Good evening, Chair, members of the board. This is ZON 21-00940. The request is to rezone from RS9 to RM3 PAD for a multiple residence development. The site is located east of Lindsay Road on the south side of Southern Avenue, just on the west side of 32nd Street, to the south of Countryside Park. Here's a photo of the site looking south from Southern Avenue, and a photo of the site looking west from 32nd Street. As I mentioned, the zoning request is from RS9 to the RM3 PAD. The PAD is to modify certain MZO, Mesa Zoning Ordinance standard, development standards, which I'll go over in another slide in a moment. The general plan for the area is neighborhood. The intent of the neighborhood designation is to provide a safe place for people to live and also to include a variety of housing types, including multiple residence developments. The site plan shows 5 two-story buildings with 40 units with 2 primary access points off of 32nd Street. There's 2 open space areas provided, one that's a dog park with some seating and shade up in the northwest corner of the project up along Southern Avenue. The second is located more centrally with units that will be facing it that has a pool area, hot tub, and shade and seating also provided in those areas. There are 84 parking stalls required through the zoning ordinance. The applicant has provided 90 parking stalls. 80 of those are enclosed spaces within garages. Within the units, each unit has a 2-car garage. The PAD request included some reductions, which are listed here, some minor modifications to the size of the garage. For the building setbacks, the way that this site is oriented, we've got units that will face out onto Southern Avenue to engage the street, also along 32nd Street. Each of these units has a private enclosed open space area that 6-foot wrought iron fence would be allowed to come a little closer than normal to the street to provide that open space, kind of front yard space within that setback that would be at 10 feet rather than the 20 or 25 feet respectively. They've also requested some deviations to the west and the south sides, which are minimal reductions as far as, but they're just for the two of the specific buildings to provide them. The other buildings meet the requirements. Also, building separation, they've requested to go from 30 feet to 24 feet. And then again, the landscape deviations they've requested follow along with the setbacks. They've tucked the trash enclosure over on the west side of the property to keep it away from neighbors. It's adjacent to an office development, so they have requested to push that all the way to that property line to minimize impact on the development as well as other residential properties. For the private open space coverage, there is some covered space in their little courtyards that they've got. They've requested to go from 50% of covered area to 30%, and they do have landscaping in those courtyard areas that can provide additional shade. They went to the Design Review Board on January 11th of this year. The Design Review Board made some minor recommendations to the building and landscape design, so staff will continue to work with them on those changes. Here you see some renderings of the project. The addressing that you're seeing with the large bold letters, that's something that they'll need to request through the Board of Adjustment for a comprehensive sign plan to exceed what's typically required for addressing and for signage on a residential project. So that would be a public hearing. And if that is not approved, they'll have to work with staff to create some sort of design component that is similar. Design Review Board was supportive of that design element. And here you can see some additional renderings to help justify their request for the planned area development that show the hot tub area, the pool, the covered seating areas, the Ramada's gathering spaces throughout the development. And here's some shots of the dog park. And those elevations that you're seeing is blank here will actually have some windows on them. They aren't shown in the renderings. Citizen participation was completed. Their neighborhood meeting was quite a while ago. It was last summer, I want to say the end of July. Some of the concerns that were raised at that meeting included visibility into the nearby yards. That was to the southwest of the site. The applicant made some modifications to the landscape plan to provide some trees in appropriate locations to help provide some of that screening. They also relocated the dumpster, as I previously mentioned. That was a concern from the neighborhood. To help mitigate that concern is why they relocated that. The staff has recently heard there are some concerns with the parking on the site. I believe we have some people here to speak to that this evening. What I can let you know is that they have exceeded what the minimum code requirements are for parking. If there is a concern with parking on 32nd Street, that's something we can facilitate conversations with the residents and the transportation department to follow the guidelines for what needs to happen in order for no parking to be requested. If that topic comes up this evening, to proceed through, there's a process that's required to determine if that's something that can be accommodated. The project is in conformance with the Mesa General Plan, the purpose of the PAD outlined in the Mesa zoning ordinance, and the criteria in Chapter 69 of the ordinance for site plan review, and we recommend approval with conditions.
Thank you very much. Does the applicant wish to do a presentation, or do they want to go straight to comments? Yes. You wish, okay. Please come up and state your name for the record, name and address.
Hey. My name is Michael Hudson with True Design and with Tim Boyle Design. I live, do you want my address? Is that what you said?
Yes, please.
At 1334 East Hale Street in Mesa. So we wanted to speak to this a little bit. So I used to live, I just barely moved, but I lived in this neighborhood just north of there about for the past 8 years. So I'm very familiar with the site. The property has been vacant for as long as I can remember. It's on a busy street, and here we go. It's on a busy street on the corner of 32nd and Southern, across from the park. And it's sandwiched between the busy street and the church, which makes it not an ideal spot for single-family residential, which is probably why it stayed vacant for so very long. And in fact, as an architect, we know that cities prefer to have multifamily to buffer between busy intersections and busy areas and commercial and also and residential areas, single-family residential. So this is the perfect opportunity to do that, to have a multifamily project here. This is the site plan. It shows that we have, 40 units on 2.4 acres. Each one of these units has a 2-car garage. These are 2-story luxury townhome style apartments. And, that I know that has been a concern in this area, that maybe it would be, low-end housing or something like that. And these are going to be high-end luxury townhomes. You can see in some of the images here what kind of style these are. We have a similar project, the Allen, which it's actually rented for like over $2,000 a month in these apartments here. And the apartment project as a whole, when it sold recently, was actually the highest value multifamily project per acre, so price per acre that's ever been sold in Mesa. So these are not low-end users, and these are doctors and other professionals that are moving into this neighborhood. This also has many amenities. It has a dog park, has pool, spa, shade pavilions, and a whole lot of landscaping, a large variety of landscaping, more than was required by the code, including heritage oak, ghost gums, purple orchid, and mesquite trees. And it's also across the street from a huge amenity, which is Countryside Park. As I said before, there's 40 units on here. There's 84 spaces. It was required to have 84 spaces. We have 90 spaces, so we have every single one of these units has a 2-car garage, plus there's 6 additional parking spaces for guests. We've requested R3 zoning with the PAD, with the PAD, and the R2 allows 15 dwelling units per acre. With 40 units on 2.4 acres, our project has 16.6 dwelling units per acre. Also, the architect knocked on all the doors of the houses directly to the south, kind of the southeast of this project, to make sure that we had, any kind of understanding of what their concerns might be. The only concern that they had was that something was nice being put there. And right now there's a lot of stray dogs and other random people walking through that area, so they're excited about this development. There was no negative comments from them at all. The only concerns that came up during the neighborhood meeting were, the type of apartments that were going in, which once we explained that that was going to be luxury apartments, most of those comments and concerns went away. We worked with the neighborhood also to the southwest to move the dumpsters because that was one of their concerns is they didn't want to have a lot of dumpster noise and all that stuff throughout the evening and whatever. So those were moved, additional trees were added, and we made some adjustments to make sure that all windows and viewpoints from these dwelling units would face away from that neighborhood back there, especially just the one, there's one corner house there. And I'll entertain any other questions that you may have.
And does the board have any comments or questions? No, I can't see the other guys online. Do you guys have any comments or questions?
Not from Board Member Crockett.
Okay, thanks. All right, we will move to the public comments. So there's a couple people that want to speak. Did you receive any other ones? No. There was one we received online who did not wish to speak, so we'll just read it in from Victoria Specht at 1230 South Helms. The amount of homes in this area is ridiculous. Has anyone thought of the parking situation along 32nd Street? There's no way all the tenants will be parking inside the community. The bike lanes will be a parking lot. Look along Hampton between Val Vista and 32nd Street. You will see the overflow from the townhomes that don't allow on-street parking is unsafe for the kids that wait for school buses. Think smaller to allow for parking. All right, and then the comments we have are Tom Hull. Are you on the line or here? Is Tom on the line? He opposes the project and wishes to speak. Okay, so he opposes the item. He's at 1205 South Almar Circle. He opposes the rezoning of this piece of property. It is not big enough for what they have planned. There is not enough space for all the homes and for the off-street parking that will be necessary. Therefore, our side streets will become the parking lots, just like you see all around other neighborhoods where huge developments are built that are only given one space for parking and all other cars are on the street. We don't want to turn it into a parking lot. Also, I don't want to add to all the extra traffic with our kids. It is unsafe for them to and reduces visibility. Next, we have Julie Hull, who I believe would probably not be here either. Same address, 1205 South Almar Circle. Opposed to the project. I am against the rezoning of this piece of property. They are planning on placing too many homes in not enough space. Where do they plan on putting all the parking? It will have to go somewhere and it will end up on the street, causing a nightmare for all the current residents. You see that everywhere they make those large amounts of homes with no parking, it will also increase the traffic greatly in that area, and there is already so many issues with speed and red light running that is unsafe for our children. What will it be like with so much traffic in the area? All right, and then I have two cards from people who wish to speak who are here. The first one I have is from John Jarvis, who wishes to speak and is opposed to this item.
Can I defer to Monty first and follow up with him?
Sure, I'll have Monty go first. Is opposed to the item and wishes to go speak. Please state your name and address for the record when you come up.
My name is Monty Hoge. My address is 1421 South Creston Circle, just on the east side of the Harmony Park. I got to say that the other comments from the people that have written in, I 100% concur with. Our biggest concerns are that they're putting too many units. I mean, they're providing a dog park, for example. There's a dog park across the street, the city dog park. And so we just feel that along 32nd Street, it will become a parking lot. And I believe I spoke with Tim today, is that correct? It was mentioned, overflow parking in the church parking lot. That's not going to fly. That's private property. We can't have a complex going in and using that type of facility or depending on that. So the issues with traffic and cars is of a big concern for us. I have down on my list of things that we're concerned about is the architectural elements. We saw some of that today. I think we're fine with some of that stuff. I would like to ask the question is what kind of support is the staff, are they opposing, is staff opposing this, or are they in support of it? It'd be a question that I have.
Currently, it's on the agenda, it says approval with conditions. As a staff, Leslie made her presentation.
The staff's recommendation is approval with conditions based on the zoning ordinance and the general plan.
If this project were to go through and to be approved, what kind of guarantees do we have that the residences that are going to live there are not going to access the freeway down 32nd Street over to Hampton, to Val Vista, and onto the freeway? There would have to be some way of providing islands, prevent the turning onto 32nd Street in order to keep the traffic out of the neighborhoods. It's already a disaster with so much traffic. And is the access to this property, is it going to be off of 32nd Street, or is it going to be off of Southern Avenue?
Okay.
It's 32nd, I believe. Once again, as I mentioned, 40 units is just way too much. They need to cut that down, get rid of some of the amenities. And the last question that I have at this point is, who is the zoning council?
Zoning council, like the city zoning attorney, or what do you?
Attorney, yeah, council.
We have our attorney right here. So.
The two of us are land use attorneys for the city of Mesa.
Okay. All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, next we have John Jarvis. Please state your name and address for the record. And he is opposed and wishes to speak.
My name is John Jarvis. I live at 3144 East Hampton, which is just south of the church building that this property is north of. Very concerned about traffic. It's already been discussed there. Right now we have kids that walk to school north of Southern. We're just going to add 2 entrances onto 32nd Street where kids are walking to school and home from school at that area there. I'd like to know too, you talked about a meeting. I live just right around there. I know nothing about the meeting. He said that there was nobody opposed to it. On 32nd Street, there's like 5 houses that go down a couple hundred feet. How far of a radius do they go? Because we have had no notice at all about this thing going on. So I don't know what the gentleman's talking about. Everybody's in favor of it. In fact, the sign that was put up on Southern, facing Southern. People going 45 miles an hour down the road would never even see it. You see a white sign. You don't see any writing on it. The only way to access to know what it is to park your car, get off, and walk through the lot to get to it. There was no signage on 32nd Street to inform anybody who lives south of the building of that area. So it's gone very much under the radar. We just barely found out about it because Monty happened to pull over on the sign. I have talked to at least a dozen of my neighbors in the last 2 days. Everyone is opposed. Most of them want to be here, but because we have a 4 o'clock meeting, they couldn't get off work. So my big question is, what is it going to take by petition, or what's the process to oppose this thing at this point until we get comfortable? Because everything that was read about the site is we want to reduce this. Instead of going 25 feet, which is the norm, we want to go 10 feet. Besides this, we want to cut that. They're trying to jam this project into that area. If they want to put some nice places in there and make it not so crowded, we'll listen to that. But right now, we as a neighborhood feel like we're being forced into this without any real knowledge of it. It's been very quiet. And again, I don't know why a sign is put on a 45-mile-an-hour street that you can't even see, and it's very dangerous even to walk back to where it's at, because you would have to be looking like this as you're driving to even see if there's something there, instead of facing the traffic that you could actually say, oh, there's something there. So what's the process with petitions? What's the steps that we do as a neighborhood to pretty much oppose this at this point?
As far as that question, you can speak to the council, and they can tell you about the process for filing petitions and things like that with council. But Leslie, you can address the question of what the notification requirements are per the city, the radius and all that kind of stuff.
Chair, board members, we have requirements for citizen participation, which would have been related to the meeting that they had when they had it last summer, late summer. The notification for that is property owners within 1,000 feet. And then registered neighborhoods, I want to say it's registered neighborhoods, half mile, and HOAs within 1 mile. I may have those two backwards. As far as the legal notification of this public hearing, it's a 500-foot radius that they have to meet, and they are required to post a sign on the property. Due to the acreage of the site is why you saw 1 sign versus 2 on the larger sites. You typically do see that, but we can certainly note that as something to look at. Pardon me? There were letters sent, yes, I'm sorry. There were letters as well as the posting of the site. Letters is what is required by code for property owners within 500 feet. That information is gathered from the county assessor records.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, but please note that if you're doing 500 feet, if you're doing south of Southern, that's going to take in maybe 5 or 6 homes total. So 5 or 6 homes were notified of that whole south subdivision, which is a considerable amount. I don't know how many homes are in there. Maybe my neighbors would know. So, when you talk about notifying 5 or 6 people that are making a decision for all of us, that's unacceptable. And I understand that may be the city requirement, but that's why we as a neighborhood, because we live there, we drive down that street, we have all the concerns here. 5 or 6 people isn't enough to decide for the rest of us. So we will get with the council to find out what we need to do for petition, and we will go forward very strongly to oppose this unless the developer is willing to sit down and talk about resizing a few things. And I hope you all would also really consider all the requests to make minimum a 10-foot, going 10 feet off the fence, off the sidewalk. Whereas everywhere else you don't have to do that, but we're going to do that here on both sides. And again, with all the kids that go that way to school and everything else, why do we have to resize everything to make 40 units fit?
Okay, thank you very much for your comments. Are there any board member comments or questions for him? All right, I'll bring it back.
Board members,
Oh, yes.
just to address the question about protest, I can direct them to the part of our code that addresses protest, if that's the question. And it's 1167-4E of the Mesa zoning ordinance. And they can also look at the state statute, which is ARS 9-462.04. And that's where they can go to if they have any questions about
Discusses
protest.
how to file. So is that something they submit with you, or how they do that? That was they can talk to you, I guess, afterwards, or?
Yeah, and I would refer them just to the city code and to the statute.
Okay, thank you. All right, does the applicant want to come up and address any of those comments?
Michael Hudson. I would like to just address the parking issue that keeps being brought up. These units, again, it's hard to tell on a site plan what that is. It looks like there's no parking, but all of that parking is inside the units themselves. There's a 2-car garage in each one of those. Currently, people are parking on, the neighbors to the east actually park on 32nd Street right in front of this property all the time. And there's always people parking along there. It's not uncommon to see that. I don't foresee that happening because of the amount of parking that we actually have, which is over the amount that's required. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, we already had your 3, I actually gave you more time then. So we'll bring it back to the board for, I'll close the public meeting and bring it back for discussion. Any board members want to start on this sucker? Oh my gosh. Come on.
So given that the parking is exceeding what is required, I like the modern design. I think Mason needs more variety in terms of design and housing type, especially for young professionals. I like the 2-car garage for each unit, which is more than we typically see when we have proposals like this, the addressing with those big numbers. And again, we just need a variety of housing types for those that don't want big yards, don't want big lots. I'm fully in support of this project. I would make a motion to approve ZON 21-00940 District 2 within the 3100 block of East Southern Avenue South Side and the 1200 block of South 32nd Street West Side, located east of Lindsay Road on the south side of Southern Avenue, rezone from single residence 9 RS9 to multiple residence 3 with the planned area development overlay RM3 PAD and site plan review. Staff recommendation is approval with conditions. I motion to approve.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I'll vote. And I'll do voice. Board Member Allen?
Yes.
Board Member Crockett?
I vote aye.
Board Member Peterson?
Yes. Yes.
They're catching.
Yeah. Yeah.
Board Member Boyle abstained. So it passes 6-0 with Board Member Boyle abstaining. And with this case, I just wanted to comment for staff that it does meet parking and it does raise concerns. I would hope that they could re-look at the parking calculation requirements for the code, because 6 guest parking spaces does not seem like enough for a 40-unit complex. So maybe figuring out a better allocation of them rather than having them being interior, because obviously your guests are not going to be inside. However, we can, they are meeting code, so, which is what we're following here. So this will go to the next council hearing.
Chair, board members, that is noted, and just to let you know, the introduction date for this case at the City Council would be the 28th of February, with March 7th is when they would take action on the proposal. Staff can certainly provide information after the meeting if they're willing to stick around and talk to them about what their options are for putting together any petitions or anything like that. I'm certainly willing to. I provided some of that information to Mr. Hogle earlier today, but I'm happy to talk with whoever wants to find out that information.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, next item on the agenda, we have one left. It's the general plan. Introduction, ZON 22-00, oh my gosh, it's the first one. ZON 22-00001 in District 1, within the 3700, 3800 blocks of North Val Vista Drive, located north of the 202 Red Mountain Freeway on the east side of Val Vista Drive. Minor general plan amendment from neighborhood village and employment to neighborhood. This request will allow for the development of a single residence subdivision. And Cassidy.
Thank you, Chair, members of the board. The request before you today is a minor general plan amendment from neighborhood, village, and employment to neighborhood. The current general plan designation on the property is split between the neighborhood village character area designation and the employment character area designation. The intent behind this minor general plan amendment is to allow for a future detached single residence subdivision. The single residence zoning district is not a identified land use within either the neighborhood, village, or employment character area designations. So the applicant is requesting an amendment to the neighborhood character area designation to allow for that future single residence subdivision with the intent to provide safe places for people to live and enjoy their surrounding community. Staff is This is the first meeting of 2 meetings that are required to take place for minor general plan amendments. The next meeting will take place on the February 23rd Planning and Zoning hearing, where staff will be making a recommendation of adoption. Okay.
All right, are there any comments for staff? Questions, comments? Nope, I don't see any. I didn't have any comments from the public. Have there been anyone here wishes to speak on this case? Nope. All right, I'll bring it back, and we are just hearing it, so we're not doing any recommendation or anything, correct? We'll just close the public meeting, and that is our last case, so thank you very much. I have a motion to adjourn the hearing.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All right, thank you, guys. Have a good night. Happy birthday.